Here's another spicy, poisonous plant, the Rosary Pea. So this is the Rosary Pea. It is a type of flowering plant native to areas in Australia and Asia. However, it has been introduced and become invasive in a bunch of other areas, unfortunately. And the seeds here are what it's named for, or I guess the berries, but they're often used in making rosaries and also instruments like maracas and shit. But yeah, kind of what they're named after and mainly used for as beads in making rosaries. However, these peas or berries or whatever you want to call them are incredibly toxic, as you may have guessed. So these berries contain a very high concentration of what is called abrin, that's the toxin in here. And abrin is what is known as a toxalbumin, which is a very specific plant protein. Basically, what toxalbumins do, they're a protein produced that disables your ribosomes and thus stops protein synthesis. And as we well know, you need your proteins, and you need your proteins to be made. So without the ribosomes, then there's no protein synthesis, which causes everything to shut down. Abrin is pretty similar to ricin, another toxin we talked about in the castor bean video, but it is even more potent, so that's kind of scary. So this toxin is deadly if ingested or inhaled, inhaled more so, but the kind of dose for ingestion, which is the most likely to happen, it depends on the individual, but it's anywhere between 10 and 1,000 micrograms, which is not a lot. Again, it varies by individual, so if you're a larger, healthier person, you're gonna need a much higher dose, but it's still not a whole lot. The abrin is also water-soluble, so there's that. It can be dissolved in water. So this has a very similar mechanism to ricin and also has very similar symptoms, including the early ones of like nausea, vomiting, general bad feeling. And some of the later symptoms include like seizures and convulsions, liver failure, and eventually death. However, since it does mess with protein synthesis, it's not the most fast-acting poisons. It does generally take a couple days to be fatal. Now, interestingly, while this is a way more potent toxin than ricin in castor oils, it generally is overall less fatal because it takes a much longer time to go through the system. Ricin generally is a lot faster acting, so it's harder to treat and cure these cases, whereas if you ingest rosary peas instead of castor beans, it's way slower because it takes a lot longer time for your body to metabolize the poison, so it's generally can be caught and treated a lot easier than castor bean poisoning. Kind of the treatments for rosary pea poisoning includes like induced vomiting with like charcoal, as well as like replenishing fluids, making sure you don't die while your body works through the poison. Since it is a lot slower, then charcoal is a lot more effective than would be with something like ricin in castor beans. But also on the flip side, since it is